Welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. It's finished here. St Mirren 1, Hamilton 1. Brandon, I'll come to you first. Would you say that was a fair result given how the game played out?
Probably, aye. I thought first half, St Mirren were slightly the better team. Second half, we were slightly the better team. So before the game, if you told it says you get a point, I'd be happy with that. So I don't think you can really grumble with the end result. If certain things were different and certain players played better, we might have won, but you could probably say the same about St Mirren. So I think a point's fair result.
Yeah. David, obviously we lost Adam Martin early on in that first half, and then in circumstance lost Akima Dolphin in the midfield. It seemed at that point that was a major issue we were having, because that was when St Mirren seemed to kind of overpower us a little bit in that first half. How big of a difference do you think that would have made if we'd had Adam Martin on the pitch and a Dolphin still in midfield?
Yeah, I think once we went, well, you could argue we might not have went behind, but I think when we went behind, that was definitely the change in the game, when we really did step it up. I mean, I think the point is the fair result. I think it was a very, very even game. I don't think any team properly dominated, but if you were probably having to scrutinise it, you'd say that since the first goal went in, Accies dominated the remainder of the game. So I think if Martin was on the park, maybe we might not have went behind. But I think if he was on the park and we did go behind, we might have actually went on to win the game. But I can't say that after we went behind. It's just showing how good it is to have a clinical man up top, though, because that's what his 5th goal involvement since he's came in.
Señor.
No, but all joking aside, Brandon, I mean, it was a deflected goal, but it's a goal of the day. And how important has Bruce Anderson been recently? He's been excellent.
It's just mentally different sort of dynamic he offers. I was Augie's biggest critic today, though. Although he clearly must have got himself in the correct positions because he was getting the ball well enough. But if he had a better striker there, or if Augie's even having a better game, we won that game.
Yeah, I agree.
Augie had a poor game, so that's the reason why he's not taking his chances. But he's got in the positions, though, so it's a bit of a weird one. But no, Bruce Anderson just offers you a completely different dynamic to the game. You could simply say it's just the small guy, tall guy striker sort of thing, but it's not just that, because he's clearly fucking, and he was going to take him off. Until he scored, he was about to take him off for Callum Smith. And me and a few others were saying, if you're going to take someone off, it needs to be Augie. Even if you're only bringing Callum Smith on, it still needs to be Augie Anderson come on, because Anderson was offered you something that was clearly troubling St Mirren, and it's reaped the reward by having scored clearly.
Yeah, I agree. I said to David before we started recording, I thought Augie had a very hit and miss game. Like you said, he was getting in the right spaces, getting the right opportunities, but just wasn't able to take them. I do agree, though. I think Bruce Anderson's the type of player where you could see he was tiring. The whole team was kind of last 15 minutes, tired legs. But I do think that Bruce Anderson, that player, even when he's tired, he still does offer you something where he'll get in the position. If a ball does fall to him, he will still have a shot. So I agree, if you're going to break MD off in that situation, it should have been Marius Ogumpo, but Bruce Anderson got his goal. Very well taken goal. It does now draw his level on points with Kilmarnock, puts us a point ahead of Ross County. But we do, both us and Ross County, have a game in hand over Kelly.
I think a few more teams will be clued up on us now in the way we've changed our style of play and the performances we're putting in now. It is going to be a hard game. But if we go in with the same kind of level of performance we have the last few games, who knows what can happen?
Yeah. And does it worry you that teams are... Oh, Brandon's left. Does it worry you that teams are now starting to clock onto that? Because we saw today that McMahon and Hodgson down the wings, they were getting 2-3 men over to cover. You saw Bruce Anderson constantly had 2 guys around him. Does that worry you sometimes that... or does it worry you watching that game that now that teams have kind of sussed out those are becoming our key players, those are becoming influential, that they might actually be able to kind of to stifle us at times?
Yeah, I mean... Probably one of the most notable one is Ross Callaghan. he had such a quiet game today. Really can't think of anything that stands out at all. That's the thing, though. I mean, surely if you're a football man, you've got to have some different ammunition in reserve. So you can't just have one way of playing. I think the big difference now is, like I say, when that first goal went in, the old sign of, oh Christ, that's us. Once we went behind, we were always beaten. And that's 2 points for 2 losing positions in the last 3 games. It's encouraging. It's nice to see as well. Like I say, we will need to change things up a wee bit because, like I say, Callahan wasn't really involved at all much. I thought Scott McMahon had an okay game. There was these moments where he was completely like nullified, and there was times where he was just getting the absolute better. Richard Tate as well. But no, like I say, if we put the same kind of levels in that we have last 3 games, I mean, anything could happen. We'll definitely compete. Which is a nice thing to think because there was plenty of games like your Hibs, your Old Firm games where you just want them over and done with because there's not a chance. So it's nice to know as long as we can compete, anything could happen.
And Brandon, if you were to choose a man in the match today, who would you give it to?
I think you need to get to Bruce Anderson, to be honest with you. One thing I would probably say about that match was individually, people didn't really have great games. Which the past 2 games we have had individually great performances, but it was inconsistent performances for individuals, in my opinion. Like you've touched on, Augie going in the right positions, but then when he had the ball, he was shite. Scott McMahon had a few good spells, but then he put in 3 crosses, it was just horrendous. Hodgson, when he had the ball, he was driving towards them quite well, but then he was leaving himself exposed at the back quite well. Jamie Hamilton didn't do anything special. The other centre halves didn't do anything special. I think Fulton for the goal could have done better. But in Adolphin, it was average. It wasn't anything special. So if you had to go each individual performance, you can't really say someone properly stood out. But if you thought someone was going to change the game or if we were going to get something out of that game, it was going to be Anderson. And he proved that by getting his goal. So I think the only real option for man of the match there was definitely Anderson.
I've got a question for the pair of you then, because I agree with everything you said there, Brandon. I think Fulton definitely could have done better for the goal. But I do think there was a couple of moments where Fulton actually did really well. Now, obviously, him getting his 2-year deal, it's a 2-year deal, isn't it? Last week, that's all but confirmed. He'll definitely be our number 1 the next 2 seasons. I'm a lot happier with that than I was at the start of the season. He's definitely reassured me a lot more, and I'm pretty pleased that he's going to be our number 1. What do you guys think of that?
I think that I think Fulton has himself improved recently. I think he has been more commanding with crosses and coming to collect. He still does have shaky moments. I mean, there's been 1 or 2 times tonight when he came to punch something or came to collect it and he's fumbled it and he's not been as powerful. I wouldn't say that I'm happy with him being number 1 for the next 2 years. I still think we'd be able to go out and get see like another kind of look southward idea and have it as a higher quality keeper. He's a good keeper to have in the squad, but I don't know if I would say I'm happy to look ahead the next 2 years and have him as my number 1.
One thing I'd probably say myself is with an Accies keeper, you're always going to get tested, so you need to be a certain calibre, a certain level. One thing that worries me with Fulton is when a cross or a ball does come into the box, when he does come for it, it doesn't look as if he ever tries to catch it. He's always punching it, which is a worry for me. And one bit on the flip side to that, one thing my mate Latimer will probably criticise me about is Fulton is a good shot stopper. What Latimer always says is if you're not a good shot stopper, you're not a good goalie. He thinks that terminology.
That's right, though.
But he is right. But I just don't feel very comfortable when it comes for the ball, which you really need to have. But he signed a new deal. It's happened, and we need to trust the sort of process behind it, depending on what league we're in.
Aye.
He's done all right. He's done all right. He's not done anything spectacular. There's a few opportunities he could have done better,
Yeah.
but there's also some instances where I can't remember what specific game it was, but I think was it Aberdeen? I can't remember who it was, but he made that save that was just absolutely ridiculous.
Dundee United.
Dundee United, that's the one.
You're right.
So he does make some spectacular saves, and his career started with Liverpool. So you never know. There's obviously something about him. So I think another point we sort of need to touch on is the fact that Fulton signed a new deal, but we need other players to sign new deals. And it doesn't matter, in my opinion, if we finish if we get relegated and go to the Championship, it doesn't make us ambitious by trying to sign these players in new deals. It just means that we're continuing players to be assets, and we can sell them. Do you know what I mean? We just need to. Accies board are not daft. They need to sign these players on and just not lose them in a free, in my opinion.
Aye, the perfect point you made a few weeks ago, Brandon, was you got to spend money to make money. I mean, we're no daft as Accies fans. We've got at best one more season of Hakeem Odoffin. But what I would be saying is tie him down so that when he does go, you're getting money for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's definitely going to be going places. But I would be offering him a deal early on before people start circling.
The thing about Bruce Anderson is that he's came to Aberdeen. I don't see Aberdeen giving him a new deal. He's had his chance with Aberdeen, and I think that's passed. They've brought in 3 players. They've brought in a player for St Johnstone on loan because I think he's a better level than their own player that they've sort of nurtured, grown up. So Bruce Anderson came into us. He's had an effect. He didn't have an effect earlier in the season with Ayr. If we even give him a pre-contract and give him a bit extra than usual, we sell him on in a year's time, then it makes complete sense to me.
Smart move.
You got to hope that Anderson's sensible about this, because like you said, he's been at Aberdeen 4 or 5 years. It's clearly not going to happen at Aberdeen. I mean, he even gets shipped out to a Championship level now. If you're a young, ambitious striker, if you're going to a team like Ayr United, you're thinking to yourself, right, Championship, I should be tearing this up. All of a sudden, he's got a chance at the Premiership. He's really taking it. I would be thinking to myself, right, this is clearly a good fit for me. Maybe stay another year, really expose myself. And who knows what could be opening up. At the end of the day, he could be taking a big money deal, and then next thing you know, he's sitting on a bench at the likes of St Mirren or a St Johnstone.
And he's got to get all the praise for the Accies fans on a consistent basis. With me tweeting him saying,
Even that.
Si, Señor.